The filming process. Dune began filming on March 18, 2019 at Origo Studios, one of the largest film studios in the world located in Budapest. Many crew members had previously worked with Villeneuve on Blade Runner 2049, and it was initially assumed that Roger Deakins would be the cinematographer. However, he left the project at the end of 2018. Eventually, his role was filled by Greg Fraser. In fact, the latter had to engage in sports to be able to hold the massive IMAX cameras for extended periods. The director planned to use green screens only if there was no other way and asked the team to build as many practical sets as possible. He believed the natural environment would help the actors better portray their characters. In addition to studio work, the team also traveled to distant locations, the main one being Wadi Rum, Jordan's desert known for its stunning landscapes. By the way, lots of epic movies were filmed there, including Lawrence of Arabia, The Martian, and Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. The work on the latter movie almost disrupted the shooting of Dune, but Villeneuve managed to negotiate with colleagues to use the locations alternately. To recreate the planet Caladan, the team traveled to the Norwegian peninsula of Stad, while the appearance of Arrakis was created with the help of the landscapes of the Liwa Oasis located near Abu Dhabi. Villeneuve wanted the ornithopter to look like a dragonfly and a helicopter at the same time, while still looking realistic and fitting into the retro-futuristic world of Dune. For the shooting, the crew designed two functional models with opening doors and interior cabins. They weighed over 11 tons and were transported to filming locations with cargo planes. To make the models fly, the production crew used cranes, moving them in the needed direction. Villeneuve noted that despite the complexity of using ornithopters in filming, their presence was useful for the whole team. Villeneuve also meticulously approached the fictional culture of Arrakis, represented by the stunning interiors of the Great Palace. For example, a huge fresco depicting a prehistoric sandworm was meant to look as if it had been created by the Fremen themselves. Of course, visual effects were still necessary. More than 2,000 shots were filmed using sand screens. Visual effects supervisor Paul Lambert believed that brown backgrounds compared to green ones would make the shots more realistic. During wide shots, they used ordinary helicopters and later replaced them with ornithopter models previously filmed against the sand screens using digital technology. The giant sandworms were also created using CGI. According to Lambert, the team spent over a year devising the movements of the monsters and studying the behavior of snakes and worms. The look of the terrifying creatures was based on the appearance of baleen whales. The sand ripple effect that appeared when the worms moved was achieved by placing a vibrating steel plate under the sand. When the worm approached the characters, the plate was set in motion, and the actors' legs sank into the sand. In reality, it was just an 8x8 foot plate, and the vibrating sections were made bigger in post-production. Initially, the crew had planned to use explosives for the same effects, but it turned out to be an impossible task. Still aiming for realism, Villeneuve decided to use natural sounds for the movement of the worms, and eventually, sound designers recorded the sounds of sand displacement using hydrophones in California's Death Valley. Fun fact, Stellan Skarsgård spent almost a third of the filming period in the makeup chair, and according to him, the intimidating appearance of Baron Harkonnen was so impressive not because of his acting, but thanks to the makeup and costumes. Their whole family is quite interesting. After all, one of his 6 sons was Pennywise. Costume designers put a lot of effort not only into Harkonnen's appearance. They created over 1,000 costumes for the movie, and Villeneuve immediately warned the designers to avoid the futuristic style that was often used in science fiction movies. Instead, he asked them to focus on the unique philosophical atmosphere of the film. According to costume designer Jacqueline West, most costumes were inspired by Roman and Greek mythology, as well as medieval culture. Lady Jessica's dress that she was wearing upon arrival on Arrakis was influenced by the attire of women from the Middle East and North Africa. The music was equally important to creating the unique culture of distant planets. Hans Zimmer was one of the first to join the filming crew and even declined to work on the soundtrack for Christopher Nolan's film Tenet because of his love for the novel Dune. The composer did not want the music to resemble his past works, so he used an eclectic set of instruments, unusual for a Western orchestra. Additionally, he spent a week in the desert of Utah, later incorporating the sounds recorded there into the soundtrack. Furthermore, Zimmer mentioned that the idea of using the bagpipe for the musical theme of House Atreides belonged to Villeneuve, for whom the sound of this instrument evoked thoughts of something ancient. Linguist David Peterson was one more person who made a significant contribution to the creation of the otherworldly culture. He developed artificial languages for representatives of several peoples. The main shooting period was completed in July 2019, after which Villeneuve and editor Joe Walker began processing the footage. By the way, in August 2020, the team conducted additional shots in Budapest. A regular post-production period takes about 6 months, but the creators of Dune had as many as 20 months at their disposal. Villeneuve paid special attention to Paul's dreams and visions, for which he specifically prepared over an hour of video material capturing flecks of sunlight. As a result, the editor used them to create striking hallucinations for the characters.